Okay, make sure that you follow along on your own paper copy, highlight what's important, and annotate as needed. You're looking for the big ideas here. We need imagination now more than ever. The idea of crisis management requires no explanation right now. Something unexpected and significant happens, and our first instincts are to defend against, and later to understand and manage, the disturbance to the status quo, our normal. The crisis is an unpredictable enemy to be tamed for the purpose of restoring normality. But we may not be able to return to our familiar pre-crisis reality. Pandemics, wars, and other social crises often create new attitudes, needs, and behaviors which need to be managed. We believe imagination, the capacity to create, evolve, and exploit mental models of things or situations that don't yet exist, is the crucial factor in seizing and creating new opportunities and finding new paths to growth. Imagination is also one of the hardest things to keep alive under pressure. Companies that are able to do so can reap significant value. In recessions and downturns, 14% of companies outperform both historically and competitively because they invest in new growth areas. For example, Apple released its first iPad in 2001. The same year, the U.S. economy experienced a recession, significant decline in economic activity. Still, Apple saw that the iPad's ability to transform its company, which sparked a time of high growth. With imagination, we can do better than merely adapting to a new environment. We can thrive by shaping it. To do this, we need to strategize across multiple timescales, each requiring a different style of thinking. We recently surveyed more than 250 multinational companies to understand the measures they were taking to manage the COVID-19 epidemic. While most companies are creating a collection of reactive measures, the response that occurs after something happens, only a minority are yet at the stage where they're identifying and shaping strategic opportunities. But how can companies avoid having imagination become the first casualty of the crisis? Based on our research for a new book on the imaginative corporation, we share 7 imperatives. Number 1, carve out time for reflection. It is easy to lose the already slim time we might have for reflection, but we won't see the big picture, let alone a shapeable picture of the future, unless we stand back and reflect. Ways to support reflection include taking a few deep breaths in and longer out breaths, taking time over a meal to rest, digest, and reflect, listening to or playing music, going for a walk without your phone. Number 2, ask active, open questions. There are many times, especially in a crisis, when we won't have immediate answers, and we therefore need to make sure that we are asking good questions. The most natural questions in a crisis tend to be passive. For example, what will happen to us? However, the possibility of shaping events to our advantage only arises if we ask active questions, such as, how can we create new options? Creativity involves reaching beyond precedents and known alternatives to ask questions that prompt the exploration of fresh ideas and approaches. Some good questions to ask might include, for example, which needs are taking center stage? In other words, which needs are getting the most attention? What needs exist for those which there is no current solution? What are we not doing to help others? Number 3, allow yourself to be playful. Crises require a goal-driven and serious response. However, in times of stress, we tend to overlook the important human capacity to play to temporarily forget about goals and improvise. Biologically, play can be characterized as de-risked, accelerated learning. For example, juvenile animals mock fighting is highly effective preparation for real combat. In unprecedented, rapidly changing situations, play is a critical skill. As well as providing some much-needed stress relief, play can end up being very productive. We can make interesting new connections between ideas when we allow ourselves to loosen up from our regular, goal-driven, laser-focused approach. Creativity is the rearrangement of existing knowledge into new, useful combinations. Jordan Vig Knudstorp, chairman of the Lego Brand Corp, told us, just like playing with Lego bricks, this can lead you to valuable innovations like the Google search engine or the Airbnb business model. Sometimes nothing immediately useful will come of play, but playing at least allows us to practice imagining, improvising, and being open to inspiration, all important skills when navigating the unknown. Number 4, seek out the unexpected. Imagination is triggered by surprising experiences. Our pattern-seeking minds adapt our mental models when we see something that does not fit. When we adapt our mental models, we entertain different strategies and courses of action. Number 5, experiment. Diversity comes from trying new ways of doing new things. Our ideas only become useful if they are tested in the real world, often generating unexpected outcomes and stimulating further thinking and new ideas. For example, Ole Kirk Christensen, the founder of the Lego brand, originally made homes and household products such as wooden ladders and ironing boards until the Great Depression of the 1930s forced him to experiment, and he tried building toys. This turned out to be a successful move at a time when consumers were holding back from building homes. After examining the international toy market, which was dominated by products made from wood, Christensen was driven to experiment again by introducing toys made of a new disruptive material, plastics. Despite the scarcity of the immediate post-World War II years, he reinvested a full year's profits into new machinery and tools, at first making traditional toys, then creating building blocks. By 1958, these evolved into today's well-known binding Lego blocks. Soon after, the company abandoned all wooden and other toys to double down on the Lego brick toy building system, Lego System and Play. Number 6, stay hopeful. Imagination feeds off the aspirations and aggravations, our dreams and our stressors, that force us to seek a better reality. When we lose hope and adopt a passive mindset, we cease to believe that we can meet our ideals or fix our problems. The outcome of the entire process can be determined by our initial belief in what will happen. Pessimism, a negative outlook, can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, process through which an originally false expectation leads to its own confirmation. Strive to make sure that you are giving people grounds for hope, imagination, and innovation. Dealing with risks, real risks, involves taking imaginative risks, which requires hope. Never in our lifetimes has the power of imagination been more important in defining our immediate future. Jim Laurie, CEO of Stanley Black & Decker, told us, leaders need to seize the opportunity to inspire and harness the imagination of their organizations during this challenging time. Imagination may seem like a frivolous luxury in a crisis, but it is actually a necessity for building future success.